Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Professor Sistrunk, and I'm reaching out to the student body. Okay, students, now that we have just started the semester back up after this beautiful spring break, I thought it was time for me to reach in there and start telling you guys what I need from you so you'll be on point. Now, I just had 2 new classes start, so I'm going to focus on one of the class, but I'm talking to the broader student body. And I want you guys to pick up on these particular steps, these techniques to get ready to end this semester. We are going downhill. And I know the new students who in the new classes are thinking, going downhill? What? We just got started. Yeah, but we coming to an end. Your classes are 8 weeks. This is my cybersecurity class and my Linux class. I am going to focus on the Linux class, but I want the broader student body to pay attention because you may want to take Linux and you need to see how simple and easy it is. Okay, so with that being said, let's get started. Step 1, you just signed up for a new class. Let's say, for example, the class is CIS 218, your Linux class. What you need to do is make sure that you cover all your bases and you get in here and you get the work started and you start completing the assignments. Now, like I said, this is for the broader student body, so I'm hoping that all of you guys are taking your time to look at this and just make sure you on point, because this is going to help you complete this class. Some of you have midterms that's about to come up. Some of you are just getting into the classes. But if you look at this, you'll have a better idea of how to stay focused on your classes. Remember, you are going downhill. That means you completing your work. You're getting ready to close this class out, and you're going to make this class a part of your past. We're headed to the future. So for those students who are in this CIS 218 class, now I shouldn't have to say this again, but I'm going to say it one more time. I'm talking to the broader student body, but I'm focusing on the CIS 218 Linux class. And I'm just going to say Linux for now. Okay, first thing, make sure that you're watching your video logs. I know some of you are spot on in doing this, but I got a few stragglers out there who are not watching the video logs. The second thing is make sure you cover what your assignments need to do. Where do I need to go? What log do I need to click on? ASADA. Okay, so make sure that you pay attention to that. Check your syllabus. I'll say it once. I'll say it twice. I'll say it 100 billion times. The syllabus is king. So make sure you look over your syllabus. Check in here in your content section to make sure you know your links, because each one of these links teleports you to another application where you'll be doing work. So make sure you do that. And with that being said, let's go do the discussion question. Now, today is Thursday, and I'm sending this out to you on hopefully Thursday. But make sure you cover your discussion questions. Post on or before Thursday. Now, I do have a class, they post on Friday. You know who you are, my Cisco students. But other than that, everybody know that they got to post on Thursday. So do your discussion questions. Assignments. Do you know how to get your assignments to me? Now, we got multiple classes and you have multiple ways to do your assignments. This is real world. You will work for a job and you have multiple ways you have to communicate at that job. So make sure you know how to get your work to me. And if you don't know, guess what? I'm here Monday through Fridays. Excuse me, let me change that. Monday through Thursday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Okay, because I know somebody will show up Friday and say, "Where the professor at?" But anyway, move on. Check your grades. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Check your grades so you will know exactly where you are. Okay, so that covers D2L. So the next lesson we're going to talk about will be one of the particular portals. Like I said, I'm going to focus on the Linux students. If you have questions, reach out to me. So I want everybody to take a look at how easy you can begin to learn one of the most powerful applications on this planet. And it's engaged in everything we do. Cell phones, servers, it's everything. And that's called Linux. So now we come to the point where we want to just talk a little bit about Linux. We want to have a little discussion. So what I'm doing now going forward is, instead of taking you through long PowerPoint presentations about a particular subject, I'm just going to create a little snapshot and let you go read the rest of the material and get a thorough knowledge of it. But these PowerPoints will hit on particular things that I think that's really important that you should know. So, and the way I'm formulating this is to create it like it's a story where you can begin to place yourself in that story and see yourself as a system administrator or a network administrator. You're going to hear me talking a lot about this. You need to put yourself in that position right now. So in this particular version, you see me talking about welcome to an exploration of Linux, the power of open source operating systems that has revolutionized computing. I want you to start taking yourself and putting you in the place of this makeshift character that I created called Alex. I want you to start looking at the history of this particular application or any applications that you are in any of my classes. I want you to start thinking about the ecosystem that has been created in this world of Linux, the many different distributions that are out there. I want you to begin to understand all the different applications because you need to know Linux. And yes, you can function in the world without knowing Linux. You're doing it right now. But this enhances your skill set and allows you to move to a higher level of computing. Let's go a little bit further and look at the many different things that Linux has to offer. I want you to start thinking, hey, this is my first day as a network administrator, as a system administrator, or whatever goal you plan on going for in the IT industry. And I want you to begin to be in learning mode, to really dive into this application and begin to see this work in a form where it will help you enhance your skill set. I'm gonna mentor you all the way through this. So you're going to get a chance to work with your professor and say, oh, I get it now. I want you to see yourself in that place. When you see yourself in that place, you will start off by understanding the history. How did it start? Who was the individual who brought Linux about? Why did this situation get created? Creator rebuff those individuals who say, oh, Linux is nothing but Unix. No, it's not. You'll be able to say, no, it's not like that. You'll be able to see that Linux works with many different hardware devices. Most of the devices that you work on today has Linux as the operating system. You think about the cameras we use, the cell phones, the TVs, that's Linux. You think about the servers that's around the world. You think about the routers that's around the world. These are Linux operating systems in the background. And anything that got to do with Internet of Things, IoT, that's Linux. So when you go to that refrigerator and it says you're out of milk, that's a Linux operating system. So I want you to begin to think in the terms of everything that you touch and feel, point of sales when you purchasing something. What is the operating system That's behind it. You see, we have Debian, Ubuntu, Red Hat. We have all these different versions of Linux. Now you see what I just did? I said V word. I used the V word. No, we have all these different distributions of Linux. That means anybody, when Linux created Linux, he allowed anybody to go in there and enhance the actual source code to create it to where they can use it for whatever particular project they're working on. So that created an Ubuntu, that created a Red Hat. So that's what Linux did for our society. Now, it's a lot of different distributions of Linux out there. Don't use the V word. So make sure you understand that. Now, you'll be working at the command line. And what makes the command line really, really powerful? It gives you control over your system, meaning that you can use your system to work and function the way you want it to. Yes, it's the operating system, but you can call up things that you need when you need them. You don't have to be stuck, dare I say, a Windows environment where you just point and click and wait for something to happen. No, you actually be in control. Learning these commands will put you in control of your system. But when you go into the work world with this skill set, that'll give you the chance to actually change what's happening on the systems in a corporation, making sure you can protect the system better. So you see the power of the terminal. You see basic commands that you'll learn, IS. You see the shell, and you'll get an understanding of what the shell is in Linux. So the shell is Linux. So you'll get a chance to see that. You'll also learn how to secure systems better. So you'll work on networking and security, the backbone of Linux. All these servers and stuff that's out there, they have Linux connected to them. And I said connected, the operating system is Linux. Think about it, DNS, DHCP, system security, the lookup command. These are commands that you can utilize to better command control of your systems. That's what you want to do. You want to be in control of your systems, and that's what the terminal and the commands in Linux allow you to do. Okay, so when we decide that we want to think of the future, we need an operating system that we can make adaptable in changes in the future. So the future of Linux is limitless. Possibilities are great. Cloud computing. When you start learning some of the cloud computing classes, you're going to start noticing that most of the applications are Linux applications. Most of the operating systems in cloud computing are different distributions of Linux. You may have 1, 2, 3 Windows applications up there, but the rest of them, 15 to 20 of them, are what we call Linux distributions. Everything that got to do with IoT, these little small devices like your camera or some on your refrigerator or some in your microwave, that's a Linux distribution that is doing that. Cybersecurity, Kali Linux. This is where you begin to actually protect the systems. And that's what Kali Linux is all about, to make sure you can push off those hackers that may try to corrupt your system. AI and big data. Yeah, Linux is governing it. Take a look at this. Linux out there in the world. So you say, I don't want to learn Linux. I'm just going to learn what I learned. Look at it. 1 billion Linux devices out there. 96% of top supercomputers. 96%. Cell phones. 85% is Linux based. And think about web servers. Apache is one of the biggest web server out there. 75% of the web servers out there has Linux as their foundation. You need to learn Linux, but can you move up quickly through the industry? Knowing Linux. Yes, yes. I know I'm having a little fun. Let's move on. You see the Linux legacy, the philosophy, the community, the technology. A lot of people are coming together to keep Linux because it's open source. Be a part of some of the meetup groups and get to know people who are working on Linux. Linux is dynamic, and I'm gonna end that with this here. Learn Linux. Take your time. I'm gonna constantly make videos all through this 8 weeks so you can see Linux and security working together. You need to know Linux, people. Trust me. Okay, students, so right now I am showing you the portal of Linux. Now, Linux students will have to do their work a little different. They'll follow the same format that most of you follow. They'll come in here, they'll read their chapters and blah, 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 do their work. But it's one way they have to give me the work that's different than everyone else. So that's one of the things you have to learn when you're working in IT. Nothing is exactly how it appears. In IT, we go through multiple different changes and ways and new application and stuff that's happening. And we have to be ready to engage and be focused. And we can't play that, oh, I'm nervous, I don't know what to do, or this is complicated. We don't get that choice in the IT world. We have to stay focused and meet the demand wherever it's coming from. So with that being said, to all of you, you have ways you have to submit your work to me. And if you don't know those ways, you need to be progressive in saying, hey, let me go send the professor an email, or let me go meet with the professor in his scheduled office hours. But you can't sit back and say, oh, I don't know. Okay, play that role. Okay, so let's stay focused. So for my Linux students, I want to point this out to you. If you were in a class with me before, you automatically have this in your portal. So when you log into NetAcad, you will notice that the Linux portal is sitting in your class. It's your section of classes. So if you took, for instance, Cisco or other classes, you'll look in there and see the Linux information in there. But if you're a new student, you will receive an email from me outlining exactly what you need to do. And when I say an email from me, people, understand that's an email from Cisco. Now, the reason I'm sending this out to everyone is because I want to stress something about Linux. Linux is one of those applications that belongs to the world. I mean, it's one of them applications that's everywhere. It runs 90% of the servers on this planet. Yes, it's that powerful. You have it in your cell phones, Android and Apple cell phones. You have it in computers. So knowing Linux is mission critical for anybody who wants to work in the IT industry. But if you're just a person that just want to have control over your system, Linux will be one of those things you should know. You're going to see me working on Linux applications and working on cybersecurity applications because Linux is integrated into cybersecurity. Being in cybersecurity and not knowing Linux really puts you at a disadvantage. You should learn Linux. Now, can you work in cybersecurity without Linux? Yes, of course. But having Linux steps you up to a whole new level. For the students in this class, when you first log in, you're going to notice that your class is already set up. Go through the steps and registering and all that. I'm not going to go through the registration because you should know how to register. But once you click on one of the links, it's going to teleport you to a section in here. Now, the sweet part about this is while you're working in Linux, you also get a chance to see Linux in real time. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on chapter 1. Now, once I click on chapter 1, it's gonna teleport me into the format, the portal where I'll be doing my Linux assignments. Right now, it's gonna ask me to register. It takes a little time to come up. And that's one thing I want you to understand. A lot of these applications take a little time to come up. So just be patient. Don't have a nervous breakdown. Just give it some time and it'll pop up. Now it says here launch Linux, but before I launch it, I want to point out a few things. This is chapter 1. You will learn about the kernel, you'll learn about what distributions are, you'll learn about what open source is, and you'll learn about command line. So go ahead and click launch so you can go in there. Now Linux is going to present you with 2 different screens. On one screen, it's going to be your book, your information that you can read through. And when I say book, I'm talking about digital information. And on the other side of the screen, you will see the application where you will actually be doing the work. Now, in the first 3 chapters, 1, 2, and 3, you basically learning Linux. So you're going to do a lot of reading your assignments and stuff like that. But you have exams to do, so go right back to that syllabus and make sure you paying attention to the syllabi. Okay, so as you can see, we have 2 screens here. One is book format, like I just said. You simply scroll down here and you begin to learn the information. When you get to the bottom, you click next, it'll take you to the next step. So you see you're learning about the kernel now. You're learning about GNU. You're learning about what's the application that Linux is written in. C, the founder of Linux, the person who originally created it. And you'll learn how he created it. So you'll learn that this individual wanted to create an operating system that he can use all the time instead of relying on Unix. Now, Linux is not Unix. Linux is Unix-like, meaning it looks like. But over here on the other side, you see that you can type in Linux commands. And once you type in the command, you'll do the work. So starting off in your first 3 chapters, you don't have to worry about it. All you have to do is read and take an exam. Every lab you do, once you do something, you're going to give me a screenshot of this. What do you mean, Professor, a screenshot? As you proceed to follow the instructions in here, and I'm gonna go to one and show you, but as you proceed to follow the instructions, I need those screenshots teleported over into D2L assignment section. You need to get them to me, people, so I can see the work you're doing. Now, my Cisco cybersecurity people, when they take screenshot, it's automatically gonna load into the application. But this here, do not do that, does not do that, will not do that. Okay, you got the knots of what it won't do. So let's move on. I want to come back here and I want to go to the next level, the next chapter that show you a lab. So I am going to go right here and go to the next chapter. Okay, so now we are back at the section where you start choosing where you want to go, what chapter, what lab. But when you get to chapter 5, that's when you're going to have your first lab to do. Now, it's a way you have to get this information to me. So what I'm going to do is just click on this link so we can go in there and start looking at how you need to do this work, because Linux is a hands-on world. You really got to get in there and start doing the work in order to learn Linux. You can't explain Linux to people. You could, but it's much better to have a person just diving right into it. That's why the first 4 chapters is just basically to tell you about Linux and what it's about. But we want to go in here and begin to learn Linux. And the more you do it, the better off you get. Now, this is a contained environment, so you're going to work in here. But The idea is one day you will get to the point where you will get you a machine with Linux and start working on it. Like I said, if you're into cybersecurity, you should know Linux. But that, I'm not saying if you don't know Linux, you can't be in cybersecurity. No, but a person who knows Linux really understands it. So we're about to explore the bash or the shell that we talk about when we're talking about Linux. You're going to read a lot about it, and I'm going to talk about it in other chapters. But for right now, let me get into this. I explained a little earlier, but let's focus on this. So this is the Linux portal. This is the Linux operating system. This is the Linux shell, all that stuff that we say. I'm going to go through here and just start putting in some commands. One of the commands I like to do first is clear everything out. So I'm going to go ahead and just clear everything out right quick in here. So I'm going to say CLEAR, clear, and hit that. And it should just take me to a blank screen. A couple of things I want you to know. If you want to make the screen bigger, right here you can toggle between full screen. I'm not going to click full screen right now, or reset something. Just to make sure you know your environment. As you can see, I have the actual prompt here, and you see the prompt over there. I'm gonna move down some. It's gonna tell me to type in some commands. So the first command is ls, and I hit enter. Ls simply means list directly, list files, whatever that's in there. That's what ls is for. Okay, I'm gonna go look at another command, so I'm gonna click next. And that's what Linux is about, is just remembering commands. ls and then space dash L. Now that L looks like a 1, but it's not. And then it puts the Linux files in order, but it also shows me the security that's on these files, and etc, etc. Now I'm gonna stop here because I don't want to make this long, but when you complete a whole section of this information, now you have to give it to your professor. So the first thing you're gonna do is, I like to use my snippet tool. So I'm gonna go over to my snippet tool, and I'm gonna click on it, and you got your snippet tool inside of Windows. So if you're using a Windows computer, you have a snipping tool. But it's just simply to take a screenshot. So people, take a screenshot. You can take it on your phone, you can take it whatever, as long as I can get the information. So I'm gonna go ahead and say new, and then I'm gonna come right here and begin to copy that information so I can use it. Right here, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go ahead and click it and highlight this. This is what I need from you. So once you copy that information, that is the information I need, and you're gonna see it right here. There it is. So you're gonna save that file, and you know in D2L, you got a section for assignments, and you're gonna give me that information. See how beautiful it looks? I can see everything that you typed in, and I know that you are using the tools in Linux. So people, do this, save it, and then go to D2L and upload it in the assignment section. But make sure you give it a name. Don't just throw a bunch of things up in there. Give it a name so I'll know exactly what it is. So you're going to just come to assignments. And if you have assignments in your first week, you're going to put the assignments in there. That's all I need. Now it says week 1, but you know you don't have any assignments, labs to do. So you shouldn't have to put any labs in there. But you understand Linux now. I wanted to keep this short, so I'm going to leave it at that. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. This is Professor Sistrunk. I'll see you in the next video log.